Yeah, Steve. The kind of a follow-up on your comments, which I particularly recall. One was the name of the school in that I think you interviewed or managed to evade going to, which was in the Italian part of Switzerland, and I was wondering if that was Lugano, perhaps the international, they call it the American School in Switzerland in Lugano. And the other question I had was, how directly engaged JC was in your, being at the school and that kind of interaction, because a lot of people have commented on how he took personal interest in his students.
Well, he very much so did. As far as Lugano goes, it might have been Lugano. I don't know whether it just got erased from my mind. Of course, it was 50 years ago, and my mother had set up this school, and my first inkling of it is when she took me up there, and then but there was you may know if it was Lugano, because there was a tram that went to the top. And basically, that was the only thing the tram was there for, was the school, and the town was down below. So I don't know if that's Lugano or not. But as far as JC went, he was very, he was always with his students. I mean, you could have, if you weren't doing well on a subject, he'd call you up to his office and he'd talk to you. We had meals all at the same time. He had a table, which was his table, and they would rotate where we sat for lunch and for dinner, and you would rotate to his table too, except for the one time that he decided to let everybody else go onto his regime, or a few students go onto his regime, and when he did that, then they all sat at his table.
That's interesting. I spoke recently to someone, an English chap, Ben Cowell, who said while he was at egal, he's a second generation vegetarian or vegan, and throughout the time that he was at egal, he was on a vegan regime, and I guess dined with JC or JC's table. Although when I was there, JC had pretty much moved to his loft or his flat in Alpena, and wasn't directly engaged on a day-to-day basis with the students at the school. He was a little bit more removed, certainly from the time that you were there, where it sounds like he was very directly involved in the day-to-day activities.
He was very much directly involved. Matter of fact, we had meditation in the morning, and he was always there. And I would say probably, I'm going to say 40 to 50% of the time, he would give a presentation in the morning, and then the rest of the time he'd have somebody else come in. And, basically, we had that little church, I don't know if it was still there, up in Mular. And we would go there every Sunday, and when the chaplain and the priest wasn't there, he would give the sermon. So he got very involved.
He was really a bit much more removed when we were there. Like you said, his loft or flat in the top of Alpena, and but I mean, he was not really a bit. From what I understood, or from what or if it's correct, is that he used to eat chicken and fish. He was not he was strictly in the sense where what I understand, vegan being that they don't eat any animals. I mean, he was not strictly in that mode.
Well, you see, that's sort of interesting. What year was that?
It was from 67 to 70.
Well, you see, maybe he got told he had to eat meat or anything along those lines, but while we went to school there, he didn't eat, as I can best recall, I don't remember him ever eating meat. He would have 3 things put on his plate, and he wouldn't drink water for an hour before or an hour afterwards. And he always sat with the students. I mean, he came down for lunch at the same time. He came down for dinner same time we ate, and he ate in the same dining room. But I don't know if later on he was told that he had to start eating some other foods. But when we went to school there, he was extremely thin. And then when I went back, right after I got out of the Army in 1966, and I think I went back over to Bilar. I can't remember what year he died, but he had only passed away about a year when I went back over to Bilar, and the rumor was that he, died from, either malnutrition or starvation.
Yeah, he died in 77. He died in 1977.
Yeah, after I left.
77.
Yeah.
Okay, so I must have gone over there in 1978, because it's only been a year. Because I was interested in looking him up and talking to him, and, I hadn't kept in contact with anybody, so I didn't even know that he had passed.
Because actually the person who was more in contact with the students, and I think maybe Noel can also confirm this, was Miss Lowe rather than him. I remember interacting with Miss Lowe more often than, I hardly, he was not.
It's hard for me to hear you because I got a real bad connection. Maybe Steve, you can tell me exactly what the question was?
Oh, the question was basically, he remembers Joyce Lowe. How about you? Did you know Joyce Lowe?
Oh, I knew Joyce Lowe very, very well, yeah.
Oh.
As a matter of fact, I put in my letter that, I thought Joyce Lowe had as much control over the school as J.C. did at that time.
That's interesting. Noel.
I mean, she was his right-hand man. There's no question about that.
Noel, are you on there too?
Yes.
Great. So, yeah, go ahead.
You should tell Steve your update on Joyce Lowe. That might be interesting.
Right. I'm going to be calling Joyce Lowe at 1 o'clock our time, 11 o'clock your time. So if you want to...
must be old now.
95.
Oh, my word.
And sharp as a tack, I'll tell you.
I believe it.
She's out shopping right now. That's why she couldn't join us.
I wonder if she will remember me. Does anybody remember Mac McCorville?
Oh, yes. Mr. Mac. Absolutely.
Yeah,
he's still around.
Yeah, he's living in Geneva. And I believe he's almost 90. And he's getting around quite well, too.
You have his contact number?
I do. I have to get it for you. For a long time, there's a guy by the name of Roger Field that went to Eglon at the same time I did. And he had called me about 4 or 5 years ago, said that he had actually traced me down, and we talked for about an hour and a half. He lives in Germany, and he meets with McCorville quite often. They become very good friends. As a matter of fact, I think they went to one of the reunions together. But I sort of lost contact with Roger. He gave me his email address, and I've written him a couple of times, but he hasn't responded back. And he was on Facebook,